Hello, I'm Kads, and welcome to today's video. So, of course, the portal is alight, meaning it is once again time to pull some shards, this time focusing on the summon rush for Blizaar the Howler. And unfortunately for me, I did tweak my neck a little bit climbing today, so we're going to try not to make any sudden movements. But who knows? Last time I got lucky, I was sick, so maybe with an injury we can also get lucky again. So first things first, as I mentioned, what are we pulling for? Because you know me, we never pull without a reason. So we are trying to get the fragments for the fusion, the Blizaar fusion, or I guess the epic from the Blizaar fusion. But of course, we're also trying to guarantee ourselves Torment by getting all the way out to the maximum number of snow points from the summon rush, that being 4,100 points. And you can see here that we've essentially pre-pulled the mystery shards. I think I have one more 10 pop to go, which I can do later. But more importantly, we're going to be pulling the 8 sacreds to make sure that we get all the way down to 4,000. So 300 snow points up for grabs. Don't really care about the deeper rewards. Some bonus stuff, energy is pretty nice too. And again, most importantly, second most importantly, the epic fragments for the ongoing fusion. Hopping over to the portal, we can take a look at the current shard count, which is 446 on the ancients, 249 on the voids, 21 on the primals, and 58 on the sacreds, which we will be dipping into today. Now, the very astute of you may notice that my ancient shard stack has come down since you saw it last, and that is because over the course of me being on work travel, there was 2 times ancients in which I pulled 80 shards and didn't get anything, but that set me up nicely to be around 60-ish shards from Mercy, and I also participated in the ancient POGO where I got Mountain King and my 4th Heliar. So I think I posted about that in my community tab if you want to see a screenshot of that happening. But essentially I did pull a significant amount of ancient shards, so that's why my shard count for that particular type has come down. But like I said, we're going to be focusing on sacreds for this video, and of course this also does coincide with a progressive chance event, and you can see the champions that I've selected here. And I know what you're thinking, I am absolutely crazy because I don't have Duchess and or Kymar in that slot. But as we've already mentioned, maybe forever ago now, but I re-optimized or rethought about all the champions that would be of an immediate help to me. And from that list, Battle Khazar is number 3 in that list. And so I value him above a Duchess and or a Kymar. That's not to say that they're not amazing legendary champions, but I think that Battle Khazar would help me more for what I need, particularly in PvE, because that is my primary area of focus. However, I wouldn't mind the help in PvP with Kymar or Duchess, for example, but they're not my primary avenues. That's not the most fun I find in the game. It's more of something that I tolerate because it's in the way of certain rewards and stuff like that. So anyways, Battle Khazar is going to be my choice. And for the epic slot, it doesn't really matter. I have both of the champions and I have duplicates of them for Faction Guardian, so it don't really matter. So I just picked one out at random, and so Cried in the Blue is the one that I selected. As far as the wish list is concerned, aside from Battle Khazar, number 1 is Valkyrie, number 2 it was going to be some form of Poison Explosion, and 3 Battle Khazar. Number 4 would be Molly Tankard, and number 5 would be Lord Chamfort. Obviously, we're going to be getting some epics as well, so we'd be in the market for any epics for the Lady Mikage fusion, or honestly, one of the fusion epics would kind of just be a free bonus, meaning I could skip, 4 events. That would actually be substantial. So that would be huge in this instance pertaining to the fusion. And lastly, if we take a look at my Mercy tracker here, focusing on the Sacred Row, we can see that we are 5 away from Mercy. We are going to be pulling 8 today, meaning that it's not guaranteed that we get a legendary, but at the very least I will enter Mercy and will be set up for something later in the future. And more notably, with respect to the progressive chance event, if we do happen to get a legendary, then there's an 8.5% chance that one legendary will be Battle Khazar, or the champion that I chose in this case, which is obviously not very high. And again, I think it's better to view it in the opposite way. So there's a 91.5% chance that I will get any other legendary if I get one at all. So it is highly unlikely, but nonetheless still possible. So let's go ahead and get this show on the road. We've got some space, we've got the cash, and hopefully we get some decent luck. And again, worst case, we enter Mercy, and perhaps we're set up for a Sacred Pogo in the near future if there is one. So shard number 1, let's see what we can get here in epic, starting things off, and it is Tagore. I know like Ash is a huge fan of this champion because he has increased defense on the ally with the lowest HP, increased speed, turn meter fill, or I guess just increased speed and a heal, my bad. No turn meter fill, AoE attack, and he also has a revival dead allies. But the reason I don't like this champion, I mean, it's a good champion. He's good for faction wars, particularly on manual, but I don't like champions who have this ability that can revive, but they can use it whenever they need to, because that, generally speaking, means that they won't have it available exactly when you need it. You kind of just have to get lucky. So if he wastes it just before everyone wipes, you have to wait 5 turns before he can do that. If he's alive, great. If he's not, you're screwed. So I'm always not a fan of the champions like that. Mighty Uko is another example, or Slow the Mourner. They're good, super good on manual or with these abilities turned off, but I'm generally not a fan of that style of a revival. But I digress. Let's not get too rambly here. Moving on to pull number 2. What do we get here? Another epic, and it is Ambassador Lethalin, who I believe was a previous Fusion champion. So I probably don't have copies of him. I think he has like Taunt or something somewhere. Yeah, he has Taunt. Yeah, I probably don't have a copy of him, so he's going to be unique because I fed him or used him in the previous Fusion, whenever it was. I forget who exactly. But yeah, moving on, we do have maxed rate on Crowd in the blue. Again, not that it matters for my particular situation, but he does have a much higher chance of popping out. End of Moonbeam, who I've definitely gotten before. I don't think he's part of the Lady Mikage fusion, unfortunately, but he does hit decently. His AoE with the leech and a 3-time hitter at random here, and then decreased defense on the A1. Not good. I mean, maybe you could use him for faction wars. The faction Sylvan Watchers is really lacking in DPS, so maybe he can do a little bit of that job. Sacred number 4. We are just stacking up the epics. Yep, stacking up the epics. Baroth, the Blood Soaked. I think he can do a little bit of healing, a little bit of shielding, but he really doesn't see any play, and he's just really not that good. Single target abilities are not where it's at in the current meta. Do not recommend building him, even if you do have him. Number 5, another epic, Kinagashi, one of the only revivers, I guess the most accessible reviver for Shadowkin Faction Wars, and it is the red boss who ignores defense, so you might require a reviver in order to actually get 3 stars on the stage, so definitely worthy of mention there. 4-turn cooldown, 50% HP, 50% turn meter, and also provides increased defense. She's really cool. Also an ally attack that builds, an ally attack with one enemy or one ally, and then it fills turn meter. So pretty decent champion. I'm a fan of her, especially aesthetically. I think all the helms and skulls and stuff are really cool. So one of my favorite aesthetic looking champions. But moving on, number 6, I think we're at 6. I think I started with 58, so we pulled down to 50, so 2 more to go. Oathbound, I feel like I pulled this guy so many times. AoE decrease attack, decent. Block active skills, 4-time hitter at random. Should really just be an AoE if I'm being honest. Nonetheless, he's decent for CC if you're desperate for that in the Bannerlord's faction. Number 7, moving right along. I don't think we're going to get a legendary today. Tarshan is an interesting champion because he is one of the few champions who has increased defense with the turn meter fill, but we don't really see him in arena meta, even though he's one of the few champions with that ability. Obviously, Siphi comes to mind that most people probably use if you're lucky enough to have her. I'm not one of those people. In addition to that, he does also have an AoE weaken, so kind of a weird kit that can kind of work, but usually kind of doesn't. And I guess I don't really see, maybe for faction wars, he might come into play if you're really desperate. But again, he's just not the most useful. And the last sacred for today is another epic. So it looks like Mercy build up. It is Armina, kind of like Super War Maiden for Barbarian Faction Wars, but you don't really need her because you probably do have a War Maiden. But nonetheless, she does have AoE decreased defense, a little bit of turn meter control, a little bit of decreased turn meter here. It has a chance to stun. Her passive has a chance to stun as well. Or I guess she gets turn meter when stuns are placed, which can get her to cycle back and do more stuns. So she's really nice when paired with other stun champions, but it just seems like a lot of work to get that synergy to work. I mean, I guess she's god tier with Seal of the Drakes in Faction Wars, for example, but if you have Seal of the Drakes in Faction Wars, you don't need Armina because, again, you have War Maiden and you're basically done. So, yeah, that's going to do it. 8 Sacreds. Mercy has been built up. Nothing. We didn't even get Crowd in the blue, so 25x is an absolute scam this time around. No big deal. But, yeah, let's check our math here. Go away, packs. Let's check our math here in the Summon Rush itself. We should be at 4090. Yep, perfect. There we go. Collect all these. Like I said, I'll do my 10 mystery shards a little bit later and ensure that we do not miss out on the snow points here. But yeah, that's going to do it for for the shard pulls. So with the summon rush completed, we have another 300 snow points in the bag, which does mean that we are sitting pretty at 1920 towards Torment, which is practically guaranteed that we're going to get there. So 80 points to go. Honestly, I could just log in for 4 more days, and I'll have them. So I honestly don't have to participate in any more events that feature snow points. I probably will just get them by proxy, just because like dungeon tournaments or whatever will have them. But yeah, that means Torment for me is locked and loaded and ready to be summoned or acquired, or I don't even know. Can we just, maybe we can wait strategically? I doubt it. We'll see if there's like a CVC coming up soon that we can wait and summon him during that, just to get 30,000 CVC points. But yeah, with that out of the way, that's going to do it for today's video. We are going to keep it short and sweet. I do need to head to bed so I can actually rest and hopefully be able to turn to the right tomorrow morning. Let me know down in the comment section below if you were participating in the summon rush, either for the fusion or for Torment, and let me know what you pulled from your shards. As always, if you did enjoy the video, then be sure to hit that like button down below, and also feel free to subscribe to the channel for more content just like this one in the future. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.